What's up, everybody? It's Soren Baker here on Unique Access Entertainment. As always, please hit that subscribe button. It's right down there and it's free. That enables us to keep coming to y'all as often as possible with as many interviews as possible. So please hit that subscribe button, like our content, share, talk about it, be about it, each one, teach one. We appreciate your support in getting us this far. Now, today we have the honor and privilege of being joined by Corey Paul. Thanks for coming through, sir.
For sure, man. I appreciate you having me.
Yes, yes. So Corey has a new song out, Creation, that goes through basically the story of Genesis in the Bible, which is a very interesting song and a great video as well. So Corey, first of all, kind of the simple stuff first before we get into some of the details, but what made you want to make a song and approach it in this manner?
Yeah, definitely. And so the one thing was the Bible, even the Bible's foundational to me. And even if you just look at self-help books or personal development, a lot of the stuff that they say you can really find, in the Bible. And so but it's not usually looked at where it could be something that's entertainment, right? And not in the entertainment way, it's just like to fill time, but in a way like artful, where it makes you think and it provokes, you know, um, thoughts and challenges, things and stuff like that. And then in a way where you could easily like repeat it over and over again and see it in a fresh light. So that's something that I've been doing in my career with music in general, but not as direct, like where it's literally verse for verse. So I wanted to add that element to it. And then also, my younger brother, I got a younger brother that's like 21, and he just now starting to get in his Bible. And so just talking to him kind of refreshed me and like, man, how could we do this in a way that would appeal to him and his people?
And speaking of that, obviously, not everybody follows the teachings of the Bible or is
Right.
religious or is Christian, etc. So, how, beyond the self help angle, why do you think this is important for, say, someone who's Jewish or someone who's Muslim or someone who's Buddhist?
Right, for sure. So perspective. I'm a Christian, but throughout my walk, I've looked at Buddhism, I've looked at being, Muslim, I've looked at, Hinduism, like, so it's not necessarily looking at it from a perspective of like apologetics where I'm gonna tear down your beliefs, but more understanding, right? I just want to understand what you believe the same way I have people in my family I'm like this with, and we don't believe the same thing, right? So I think it's a way to help just understand what you do believe, whether I agree with it or not. It can give me a full sense of enlightenment about how you're living in your life.
Yeah, that's true. Now,
Yeah.
with that too, with the creation, there's no percussion for the first 2 minutes, 15 seconds of the song. So is that something the producer Rafael Hernandez wanted to do? Is that something you wanted to do? Is that something you guys collaborated on? What was the genesis of that?
Yeah, so that was collaboration because we wanted to almost score the song. So everything of course was created from scratch, and so we was thinking about it with each day in mind. And so we were trying to do our best to go into the scripture and think, how does this music feel based on the creation? So when with the drums come in, right, because that's the whole thing, especially in hip hop, is when the beat drop. When is the beat gonna drop? And so we were thinking in the creation process, what would that feel like when the beat drops? So even if you listen to that first those first couple of minutes, you'll hear sounds where we were trying to embody stars, or we were trying to embody the light or embody the water. And so it was intentional. And so then when the drums does come in and the beat does come in, we felt like it was a real powerful moment of understanding, God being the light before there was light.
Yeah, it's very dramatic. Now,
Yeah.
at the same time, since rap is so driven by percussion and it is such a percussion driven genre, why, beyond the song things, like as a creator yourself, why did you think it would be well received or people would be okay with it or it wouldn't be quote unquote an issue?
Yeah. So I feel like if you do it right in hip hop, we've seen times where it did work, right? So international players with Andre, right, in the beginning. He even tells a story about it was the beat, the drums were on there, and he pulled off the drums for his part, and how Pimp was mad at him for pulling off the drums, messing with the beat, but then it all worked in his favor. I'm not saying I'm Andre, but I'm saying that I feel like it's times in hip hop where it does happen, and if you get it right, they like, okay, we mess with it. So I was just hoping that this would be one of them times, and it felt good.
Yeah, one other prominent example, even though it kind of goes in and out, is One Mic by Nas. So there's definitely prominent examples where it's done well and the songs have been extremely popular and revered. So
Right.
it's always interesting when people do that, but I think it's also what makes songs noteworthy or interesting is when you don't just do the normal stuff.
Right.
So
Yeah.
go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, my bad. I was gonna say, and like I said, it was a collaborative effort, but Raphael, he's real big on what's normal, what's being done, what's regular, what have we done? Okay, I don't want to do none of that no more. So he is a driving force behind just always wanting to do something different. So he definitely did have a hand in that. It's just being different.
Okay.
Yeah.
And two, with creation, you talk about in the verses like, where was the light if the light was created on day four?
Mm.
So, so with that, how, as you're talking about Genesis and the creation, uh, kind of our concepts of things versus what they really are versus our perception. So, how did you go with that in the interpretation of what you read in Genesis and then transferring and translating and transposing that into a song?
Yeah, no, that's good. So in creating creation, it was studying. It wasn't just like, normally you got the beat and then I write the rights. I have Bible commentaries, the English Standard Version. I have Tony Evans Study Bible. It's Bible Logos is another platform. So I'm reading the different versions, like the different translations, then I'm looking at the commentary and I'm studying what I'm reading, right? So that's the basis before I even get to the lyrics. So then in doing that, we know the opening is, let there be light, right? And so we hear that and then boom, okay, we keep moving through the Bible, but then we realize that it's not until day 4 to where God says he's gonna gonna hang or put in place all of the things that we know to emit light, the sun, the moon, the stars, and all of that. So when I hear that and I look at the commentary and then I go back to the beginning, then the interpretation is, if the things that we see that emit light were not created until day 4, but God said there was light on the first day in the beginning, then he has to be the light, right? So, but then to go further with that, where it's not just, a rough interpretation, we think of like God is the source of all sustainability in the Bible. So God doesn't necessarily need anything. He is the sustaining thing for everything. So if we look at how water comes and helps with the crops, or the sun comes and does this thing and that thing, God is not saying I need the water, right? The water is more of a testimony to God being sustaining. So he's more so using things as a tool that testify to him. And so that's the deeper interpretation of God being the light that always was. And then ultimately, in Christianity, especially, we talk about the light as like the way, the truth, that's the path to God. So in me reading and me studying, that made sense to me, like, scripturally.